Casey Vormer, Remrov. Casey Vormer is an autistic, self-taught pencil artist renowned for his detailed realistic drawings of animals and cityscapes. Casey's presentation is entitled My Art and Autism. Topics such as Casey's journey as an autistic person, how drawing helped them as a young boy and eventually helped them find my place in this world as a self-employed artist, and how autism affects their art will be covered.
Casey Vormer Remrov. Casey Vormer Remrov est un artiste autodidacte réputé pour ses dessins réalistes d'animaux et les paysages urbains. Mon art est l'autisme. Des sujets tels que le parcours de Casey en tant que personne autiste, comment le dessin les a aidés pendant leur jeunesse et les a finalement aidés à trouver sa place dans le monde en tant qu'artiste indépendant et comment l'autisme affecte leur art seront couverts.
Hi, I'm Casey and I'm a pencil artist. I'm also known as Remrov, which is my artist name and also my last name spelled backwards. I started drawing at a very young age. As soon as I was old enough to hold a pencil, I was always drawing. Besides the love to create something from scratch, I also noticed that whenever I was drawing, people left me alone and they didn't expect me to communicate. This made me feel safe because as an autistic person, I had a lot of troubles with communication and social interaction. I noticed very early on that I was different. All the other kids were very outgoing and talking and laughing and interacting with each other in a very natural way. And I felt like I was trapped inside my own mind and I couldn't find a way to get out of there. I was a very frightened kid. I didn't understand anything around me. I had a lot of trouble with processing verbal language and expressing myself with words. But to avoid being bullied or people getting disappointed with me, I just preferred not to be spoken to at all. So it made me feel safe to just focus on my drawings. When I was younger, I started out mostly with drawing cartoon-like creatures and friendly aliens and things like that. And I imagined them being my friends. And this helped me a lot with my loneliness. And because the creatures I created were so different, it made me feel like it was okay to be different and maybe even cool to be different. I also drew patterns of shapes and colors. I was always very fascinated by patterns, and I still am. They give me a lot of comfort, and it helps me cope with the chaos I feel from the unpredictable outside world. As a youngster, I totally lived inside my own fantasy world, and it felt really safe for me. I was interested in the outside world as well, but every attempt to get to know it or to be part of anything, it just led to a lot of fear and being bullied or being left out. Even though I really wanted to, it was of course not possible to only live in my own safe world, as I had to go to school, for instance. And I did have the desire to be part of things and to have friends. And I put a lot of effort into studying all the other kids and everything I saw around me. I memorized everything I saw, all the words, all the actions and mannerisms I saw from all the other kids. And then I just mimicked and copied everything in similar situations without actually understanding what I was saying or what I was doing. In elementary school, this often worked and it helped me fit in a little bit. But later in middle school and whenever I was around adults, it didn't really have the desirable result at all. I was bullied significantly in middle school. This was from being called names to being beaten up and spat at and even pushed down the stairs, things like that. Aside from these social difficulties, I struggled a lot with schoolwork as well. The regular school settings were just too chaotic and loud for me to learn anything. I had a lot of tricks though, and with my photographic memory, for tests, I just literally memorized all the pages from a book that we had to learn without understanding anything of it. And that way I managed to get good grades and eventually my middle school diploma. Post-secondary schools were a total different story, though, on both a social level but also on an academic level. I was never able to finish any education. Even though later it turned out I was highly intelligent, I was just not able to learn anything in the chaotic regular school system. And after a failing attempt in graphical design with a total burnout, I was finally diagnosed with autism at the age of 21. My interest for drawing only kept growing though throughout the years, but it did shift more towards realism. I was more and more interested in drawing what I saw around me. I've always had a very detailed view of everything rather than seeing the big picture. So that's also what I drew and still always draw, just tiny little details. Many people ask me questions like, how do you draw a dog's nose or a cat's whiskers, or how do you draw a tree? And I always find it very difficult to explain, as I don't set the goal of drawing a nose or whiskers. I just draw the details that I see. All those details together, they do make up the nose or the whiskers, but it's not what I initially intend to draw. Throughout the years, my drawings started to get the attention of people, and eventually I even got requests from people to draw their dog or their cat or their house. This was something for me to get used to, as it added quite a certain amount of stress to it as well, and the fear of failure because they were paying for it. But I got more and more confident after everybody being very happy with their drawing. I started to hope that I could actually someday make a living with drawing, as working for an employer was just absolutely terrifying for me. A regular job like that, working for an employer, always comes with a lot of communication and social interaction, and always leads to a lot of misunderstandings and angry people and a lot of anxiety on my part. In 2013, I immigrated from the Netherlands to Montreal, and it was here where I really felt that I was actually an asset instead of a burden to society. I noticed that people were interested in learning from me about autism and from my experiences. So I started to give presentations, and I eventually wrote a book as well called Connecting with the Autism Spectrum. In the meantime, my art career also kept growing. And after several jobs, from cleaning jobs to customer support for video game companies, things like that, I was finally able in 2019 to quit my day job and to become a full-time artist. Now I make drawings in commission for other people, but I also enjoy working on my own projects and just starting drawings that I'm passionate about and hope to sell them. In 2022, I finished my biggest endeavor yet, a 3.5 by 6 foot drawing of downtown Montreal. And this one took me 830 hours in total. I just love to challenge myself and to make my drawings as detailed and realistic as possible. And I love getting into very crazy and large scale projects. One of my greatest passion is drawing animals. I'm a huge animal lover. I've always found it much easier to connect with animals than with people, because animals, they don't use verbal language, and they also don't have complicating facial expressions like people do. Interacting with them just feels much more straightforward. And also, they don't tend to judge like people tend to do. Since I was a young child, I've always had very special connections with animals. And this was very helpful with a volunteering job that I had working for the animal ambulance in the Netherlands. I especially love drawing wild animals like lions and tigers and elephants, but I enjoy drawing pets as well. I do mostly draw the pets in commission though. I once made a drawing of my own little feathered friend, my lovebird Pilaf, who was with me for 18 years. Pilaf, he went everywhere with me, like to the grocery store, walking around the neighborhood, and he was always just sitting on my shoulder. And whenever I was drawing, he always wanted to sleep on my shoulder or in my hand, which was very special. He helped me a lot with the challenges I faced as an autistic person. Every time when he was with me in public, people commented on him and asked me questions about him. This really helped me a lot, getting more and more confident with communicating with people. Pilaf was also some kind of a mirror for me and making me aware of my own feelings and my own vibes and what I was expressing. When I was nervous or very anxious, I didn't always notice it myself, but Pilaf would always pick up on it, on my emotions and also on my vibe. And he would express it then by getting overly squeaky and nervous. And then I realized that I was the one making him feel that way. And then I realized that I had to calm down for my own sake, but also for his. Pilaf was eventually registered as my therapy and support animal. He passed away in March 2017, though, which was a very, very difficult time for me. Years ago, I also started a comic book with Pilaf as the main character called Pilaf in Space. I've never been able to finish it, though, but I love to someday. So this is it. This is the comic book I started, Pilaf in Space. I started it in Dutch because it was so many years ago. I didn't do much in English yet. I still lived in the Netherlands. It's practically Pilaf. He starts flying into space, and then he ends up on a total different planet, and where he meets these aliens. It's talking more to this alien. He finds out that there's a disease going on this planet, and his wife is sick, and then during the night she dies, and then so they have some kind of a funeral. It's a bit different how they do that all, but they're preparing for the funeral here. This is like the funeral. It's a bit like the person who passed away is gonna be being attached to this big balloon and then flying into space. Then Pilaf decides to help him find out where this disease is coming from and how it all works, and trying to find a cure for it. So they go into the how the aliens are made, because they're not being born like humans are. So he explains it all, the aliens, to Pilaf. And then they end up in this cave, and here you can see the panels I haven't even colored yet. So they go into this big adventure into finding out where this disease comes from, and to help find a cure for it. And these are the last drawings that I made. There's like a secret laboratory in the cave, and So that's how far I got with it. I feel that my autism has a lot of effect on my capabilities with drawings. I don't think I would have been able to make a drawing so detailed if I wasn't autistic. And I'm also able to hyperfocus extensively for a very long time. I can get totally lost in the tiny details when I'm drawing and I forget everything else around me. I'm also very perfectionistic. This can be a good thing, but it can also be very annoying as I'm not satisfied easily with my own work. And I often feel the tendency to just start all over with a drawing, even after working on it for over 30 hours already. I'm very happy that it is possible for me, though, to be a full-time artist, and I feel very, very blessed. I get to do what I love and what I feel passionate about every single day. I feel that drawing is my way to connect with people and to be part of this world.